All right, it's Friday, it's the end of the week, time for the weekly review. As you can see, I'm still down on the accounts, and today I only made $163, and I had only two trades. And I only had two trades. I don't know why it has three, but I only had two today, and let's go over what I saw. So coming into the day, we do have a new layout. We have four charts because RTI was important today, but don't get overwhelmed. Let's just keep it simple. Like, what do you see? They're clearly expanding lower, and right, YM had that SMT break with the previous week high and made that SMT with R2Y, so that's why it's doing that. I definitely wasn't thinking it was going to do that yesterday, but I just woke up and I saw it, so we adjust. Going down to the 1 hour before the open, right? You see throughout this entire weekly range, this is like a pretty relevant low. This is like the low of the week, but this is Wednesday's low, and R2Y took that out right here. So I want to see the open expand through that because on YM, you can see it's the same setup pretty much. This low of the week, just like with R2Y. And this right here is Wednesday's low. And it's equal lows, and it's relatively close. Same thing with NQ. This is technically Wednesday's low, it's just like on Tuesday in Asian session because this didn't dip underneath. So yeah, it's the same thing. They're all pretty close to a relevant low. That's what I want to see. NQ is below this new week opening gap, and YM's kind of rejecting it. But either way, I want to see lower prices. So we'll just play the first 3 minutes of the open, just so you can see. Well, technically, let's show this first. So there is an SMT fill with YM and R2Y, which just leaves R2Y as the weakest still. So you can see R2Y has this 1 hour gap. Right, this is the 8 o'clock high right here, and then this is it on YM. You can see we sweep that out. So there is SMT fill for R2Y to continue lower, and then it's also within a 30-minute gap. So there's SMT, but there's still like a key level to use. On here, R2Y is in this 30-minute gap. It's just the lower one instead of this one. And then I think it's pretty much the same thing with NQ and ES. You can see there's a gap here that we're in, and a gap here on ES. Right, so I'll just play the first 3 minutes out, and I can't take R2Y because one, I don't have it on my broker, and two, I probably wouldn't even be able to catch it. It's like expanded. This is like a really bad looking lower time frame, so I just let the first couple minutes of the open play out. Obviously, what do you see? So R2Y just drops off a cliff, and at this point we hit this relevant low and we consolidated, so that's already a continuation signature. And then we have this SMT and we just drop off, so clearly this is now a failure to manipulate this low, and if we're not going to manipulate this one, then we're going to expand to the next draw, which is this low of the current low of the week. So I want to see the same thing happen on YM. Right, I just want to see it catch up to this one. Right, this Wednesday's low that we just expanded through an R2Y like it wasn't even there. So that's all I'm looking for. And this is just aiming for a little SMT break. And what triggered me to actually get in the trade was ES made a 90-minute sequential SMT. So right, you see ES takes out this 7:30 high within this 9 o'clock candle. NQ was leaving that failure swing. And same thing on YM. Right, so we have a SMT there, and then on YM, I think I enter like within like the 1 or 2 minutes. And that's really, I wasn't really sure which one to take, but our NQ, we can see here we're failing to close. And then YM, I enter like down here, so after this next candle, I think. Yeah, so here we're closing on YM. And NQ is not that bad, but it's clearly not as weak. And then also R2Y is the one that's making the move lower. So YM and R2Y are more correlated, usually, at least right now. So YM should follow suit with R2Y. So let's see. I set a limit over here, and just to go over one time, just for the timestamps. The trade is basically, right, you see the dailies expanding down after this SMT break. We're heading for these daily lows within the weekly range. Right, here's R2Y failing to manipulate this Wednesday low, and we're going to the low of the week now. And on YM, you see there's a 90-minute sequential SMT with this low that R2Y expanded through. It should catch up to it. And since R2Y is making the move lower, I'll take YM over NQ. So here I just basically just, I think I mark enter, right? Yeah, once we get up to here, I just mark enter. Then I drag my stop loss and TP. And I think to the low, it's about 2R. And what do I have to say? So there's no more targets on RTY, but I don't think that there's no reason that YM shouldn't break the SMT at bare minimum. So even though RTY doesn't really have anything else to expand into, I still want YM to break that. I mean, you see it's running, it's like 1.2R right here or something like that, which is like as low as it goes pretty much. And then you see I'm just going through the trade. Here it comes back to break even. So I want to see a CSD back through this set of opposing candles. And NQ is starting to go too, so I'm not really sure which one's going to hit first. NQ is a lot more high resistance. Like, it had the CSD, then like it comes up and runs it out, and now it's going again, so just going to let it play out. There's no reason to manage any differently here. It's already past 10 o'clock at this point, so I'm like, all right, maybe it'll wait until 10:30 to expand. It's a new 4-hour candle, so as long as I can stay live, that's fine. There's a PSP, but it doesn't really matter. And then it ultimately does end up coming back to stop me out. I reduced my stop here. I think this is like just candle bodies on like the 3-minute. And yeah, you see it's like a $382 loss instead of $500. And you see this comes back and takes out my stop loss. All right, so that's this trade. And then we did take one more after that, relatively quick. So at this point, this SMT doesn't matter, but there's another one that forms. We just play out the first 30 minutes at 10 o'clock. So this is getting disregarded, but what is this? This is a SMT with a somewhat relevant high. We have this one over here, but I wouldn't actually expect it to get there. It's pretty far away. I think that's like a 4-hour or 6-hour gap up here. Yeah, it's like a 4-hour gap, so it'd be ideal, but I don't really expect it because it is so bearish right now. And we're also respecting this new week opening gap. So we have that SMT all the way up here instead of that 90-minute. And we are still inside that 30-minute gap, though it's not as high probable since we failed to actually expand and deliver from that, though we did, technically did its job. It just had to deliver to this new low. So it's an internal to external. So it did its job, but I still want lower, obviously. So we have this SMT, and then we have a strength switch PSP, which is basically the confirmation. So YM is making an SMT here. It's making a failure swing. So it's technically the more bearish asset, but this candle is closing as a bullish candle. We're at NQ. We're running at highs. So technically we're the more bullish asset, but this candle is closing bearish. So really I'm just watching either one to see, to get an entry. And what I do is I wait for it to retrace into this fair value gap. And I want to see a failure swing CSD out of that / a propulsion block. And here, maybe it's the next candle. I think this candle right here, NQ is a really small bearish candle, but I look over to YM and we're CSDing through this set of opposing candles. So I'm not really sure which one is weaker at this point, but because usually I would take NQ because it made the PSP, but since YM is kind of switching back to the weakest now and it's correlated with RTY, and I think it's still closer to the low at this point, I just take YM. And just to recap for the timestamps. Right, so recap for the timestamps, we have an SMT with this relevant high. We have a strength switch PSP where YM is supposed to be the more bearish asset, but it's closing a bullish candle, where NQ is closing a bearish candle. And I get in at this closure. Just mark and enter. Drag and drop my stop loss TP. I set the trade run at that point. There were a couple of my friends that took this same trade too. And yeah, I'm saying I don't really know if YM or NQ's closer at this point, but since YM had the CSD first, I just took it. And if NQ didn't end up hitting it first, I just TP on YM probably, depending on how much I would be up. I didn't have too many no-sis trades, but I had a couple that I'll try not to miss. Like you see here, I'm like a little bit under risk by like $40, so I tried to like set a limit to add on to like get my full 500 risk, but it didn't get triggered, so I took it off later. It's not really important, but just to note it. And yeah, so I'm watching on the 3-minute, right? We have this first CC that I took. Then we have this propulsion block right here. So it's looking pretty good. And then also most of my trades, usually if they're a loser, they like lose right away. So it's looking good that it's not losing right now. Even though like this retracement up here is like not very ideal. Especially because on the actual CFD, you see on the CFD, they're like equal highs, so it's a little bit different, which I don't really like. And I'm using the 5-minute on here because it doesn't have the 3-minute. But yeah, we do have this 5-minute closure still, so this gives me more confidence because I entered like in this candle when it just wicked it, but then the next one ended up closing through. Same thing on NQ actually, it closed through, so I'm watching both here. NQ was more high resistance, so it's a good thing I took YM. And yeah, there was SMT at some point with R2Y. And yeah, I thought the trade was looking pretty good when this was at a close. And yeah, like when the candle ended, it was like, it wicked it really hard. Yeah, this is a really long trade, it's like 2 hours long. Yeah, it's like, looks like it's gonna close. It's like really far in the range. Now let's go back to trading view, it's like this. And that's looking pretty cooked, so I'm like, yeah, oh shit. But either I have to hold it, I'm not gonna get out, there's no reason to. My stop was in a good area. And I basically have like to wait 30 minutes until 12 o'clock when the new 6-hour candle opens. We have like a random 30-minute 2-stage SMT that it's not even like high probability, like I said, it's not an important level, but I just wanted to hold. It'd be nice if like it just like held. All right, obviously, because NQ and ES took out this previous 30-minute high and their bullish candles, while here it's bearish and hasn't taken it out yet. And it made equal highs actually, so it did hold. And yeah, then it starts going down again, kind of as a random CSD. And once we get to here, I'm going to take half of the trade off, a little bit around 2R. Did I do it yet? Yep. Oh yeah, so I'm waiting for it to happen, and then I check over on futures, and it already hit it, which I don't like the discrepancy, but I just wait for the actual CFD to come down, then I take half off, as you can see. And now, yeah, I'm already break even, so I'm just waiting for that Wednesday low to hit. And yeah, it just starts chopping around. It ends up ultimately stopping the rest of the position out, which is pretty annoying. I wish I got just a full TP at 2R then. And yeah, so this trade was only, all right, here's the trade. It's only 1.1R, so it made up for this partial loss, but not by that much. I'm only up 0.3% on the day, and obviously like 163. And the reason this happened was, it was like a pretty crappy reason, honestly. I don't really care about it. There was one guy that he was looking to short like all morning, and this was his reasoning basically. So we had SMT with this current low of the week with R2Y. Obviously, R2Y took this out already. It happened like 3 hours ago. Well, not 3 hours from now, but it happened at 9:30. So that was 3 hours ago from when the trade reversed on me, and it didn't do anything. So I wasn't thinking it was significant. And there was some kind of strength switch, I think, on the 30-minute, where right now it's like YM is closing weaker, and then R2Y is closing as a bullish candle, and he's kind of just trading it. Well, he wanted to trade it like basically just SMT to cap off the weekly range, which I guess makes sense. I thought that NQ would definitely make it here because R2Y just expanded through this like it wasn't even here. I wasn't going to aim for down here, but this seemed like a pretty reasonable target. But yeah, reversed on me. I never take this long because I just don't like taking trades like that to try to like cap off a range of a day or a week. But yeah, maybe I should have taken 2R in hindsight just because, I don't know, it's a Friday. I was already in the trade for like 2 hours. I might as well just taken it all off. Got the win back, got the loss back and more money, but it is what it is. And that is pretty much my day. So performance is good. The first trade, there was no issues with it. All right, so it fit all my criteria. You can see YM is reversing. R2I was definitely reversing, so that's more than one asset. Then even ES and NQ were reversing. So all assets were in alignment, maybe not NQ, but ES and R2I definitely agreed. So I don't have an issue with that first loss. I I don't think I should have gone break even or anything. I think my stop loss reduction was fine because there's no guarantee that it would lose. And like I said, we already had that sequential SMT, so there's like no reason for us to really come back. Obviously, we wanted to resweep, but there wasn't like anything beforehand, so I'm fine with that. And then, oh wow. I just realized that I never would have gotten taken out actually. I never even took out this 930 high. Which I think my stop loss was actually on the top. Yeah, so I guess if I held that first shot, I actually never would have got stopped out, but like there's no reason for me to hold it. So I just like reduced my stop to, I think it was like, I don't know where it was. Maybe like this, like these bodies or something like that. And yeah, I guess I kind of got cooked there, but I don't really regret it. But at the same time, it's kind of annoying seeing that in hindsight. Could have had it'd only be like a $500 day. It's only 1 hour, but that's better than what I got. So, all right. So I'm editing the video now, and I just realized that for the first trade, I needed it to actually hit Wednesday's low to get 2R. So I wouldn't have been able to take any partials on it if I stayed in it. So this is actually a better outcome getting stopped out of the first one to get at least something out of the day. So I was wrong on that one. Either way, I don't really have anything else to review. It was a pretty good trading day. Followed my rules. Only took 2 trades. We're down 4% still, but that's really nothing. I can get that in like 2 days and then finally be above the break-even point to start trying to risk more. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to be an eval at Joe for too long, but this is nothing. I'm making another video on CFD prop firms versus futures with like more information and numbers, so I'll put that up on YouTube sometime this weekend probably. And yeah, so I don't even like, while I'm kind of in eval jail, I don't need to rush, and I shouldn't feel like I'm in a rush because it's very easy to get funded and get payouts with this kind of prop firm model. But that's it for me. Coming into next week, we'll try to do the same thing, try to stay locked in and follow my rules and not self-sabotage. And yeah, it's just little mistakes that added up, but now I've been getting it back together a little bit. So if you caught a win today, good job. If you didn't, it's fine. And I will see you guys on Monday.